Hello and welcome to the 5 things that everyone should know about their chart, about your natal chart. My name is Anna and I am an intuitive astrologer. I am the soul behind the soul coach, as I like to say. And I was really sitting here and I'm like, what can help people? What is some tangible things that people can use in their day-to-day life from their natal chart? Now, your natal chart is an energetic map of how the cosmos, how the heavens were at the moment of your birth. All the planets, all of the cosmos, all of that has energy that we feel down here. And at that exact moment that you were born, that's kind of imprinted upon you, imprinted upon your soul, imprinted upon your mission here, your soul's purpose, all of that. So that's why knowing your birth chart is really a map to your higher self, your highest self, your soul's purpose, really just being the most you that you can be. How I always like to say it or think of it is, imagine you're in a different country. And when you're in a different country traveling, you don't usually have cell phone service. You usually just have Wi-Fi when you are like online or at a cafe or at a hostel or something like that. So if you go out without a map and you just kind of follow the crowd and you see like the big sights, but you kind of feel a little like, it wasn't super satisfying. I feel like there's more I could have delved into. To me, that's kind of like not knowing your natal chart or your birth chart. You kind of just go with the flow. You kind of just see what other people are doing. But a lot of times you could feel just a little like, there's more me that wants to come through. And so say you're back in this traveling thing and you're kind of just going to a cafe or a shop or a sandwich shop and just eating, and by you just not knowing, not having a map there, you could be missing this perfect cafe, perfectly made for you, like you designed it, food you love, atmosphere you love, that's just off the beaten track. And the thing is, you didn't have your map, so you didn't find it. And your birth chart, kind of the same thing. It's like a good metaphor to use. You didn't know exactly what your soul was wanting to experience, so you kind of just went with the crowd. That's an example I love to use because I love to travel. And a lot of times I will not have a map and I will miss the perfect things for me by seeing what everyone else is doing and going where they're going. So I always like to make that analogy back to your own birth chart. So let's get into it. The 5 things. The first thing that you must know about your birth chart is your north and south node integration. So I say integration because you might hear that your south node is what you're walking away from. It's past karma and you're walking towards your north node, which is true. The north node is out of your comfort zone. It's what your soul is wanting to experience and master this lifetime. Your south node is what you have mastered in a previous lifetime, but you're not meant to walk away from it. You're meant to integrate it on your path because it's an immensely powerful area of your chart. You've mastered it. It's your comfort zone. You can do it in your sleep. You're like, oh yeah, no big deal. Now, your north node is uncomfortable and you're like, I don't know if I can go there. Like, that's weird. So taking these south node gifts with you on the journey to your north node makes it so much easier. So that's number 1. Number 2, your Chiron placement. So your Chiron placement is the spot in your chart of your greatest spiritual wound this lifetime. It is a karmic placement that you came in with that is a pain point. It needs your love, it needs your attention, and it needs your acceptance, your integration, your healing, whatever word you want to call it. It needs you. And it's somewhere where you're going to keep coming back to in your life. But if you start giving it the attention that it needs, the love and acceptance, you will always come back to it with a higher level of consciousness each time. Now, if you don't know your Chiron placement, you may think that you aren't progressing in this one area, that this is a pain point you're coming back to and not doing the work, and I need to change and I need to do more, and all of the stories we tell ourselves. when we experience something painful over and over and over again. Whether that be the wound of low self-worth, whether that be the wound of speaking up, speaking your truth, whether that be the wound of really being able to feel your feelings, whether that be a wound in your central identity, like you don't know who you are, can be a spiritual wound. That's a big one. That's in Pisces. And it can be like a wound in, if you have Chiron in Leo, means like you don't feel safe to shine, you don't feel safe to step up and be seen. So if you didn't know your Chiron was in Leo, you just might not think like, oh, I need to be stronger, I need to just keep pushing myself, I need to do it, or like that's not for me, that's dangerous, that's scary. And then you never really feel like you can be seen as the creative individual you are. Doesn't mean you have to be up on stage, just means that we're all these creative individuals and we can all be seen for our unique gifts. So knowing your Chiron will give you some validation for your life. You'll be like, oh, thank God. Like, I just thought I was just really like failing in that area, but you're not. Like, you are not failing in any area. Just, there might be places you need to give yourself more love, more attention, and more acceptance. Okay. The next one. Now, you might not think this is big, but number 3 is your sun and your moon synastry. So your moon sign is your internal world. It's your connection to unconditional love. It's the connection to the mother energy or mother figure. It's you and your inner child. And it's just really being able to feel safe, nurtured, loved, and therefore safe in who you are, secure in who you are. It's like this secure attachment. Your sun sign is your essence this lifetime. It's what lights you up from the inside. It's kind of like your mission and what you're here to really step into this lifetime. So the sun sign can be this big, more bold energy. It can kind of be like taking over the moon sign. And synastry means the relationship between the two. So it's called the aspect. Now, some aspects, which just means communication, are more challenging. It's like they just aren't communicating. Like there's just no communication and everything seems to be like a headbutt against a wall. Some aspects are much more clear and harmonious and flowing and you can communicate super easy, like, oh, hey, like besties. And some aspects you need to meet in the middle. Like you need to find a balance of both these different energies. Now, how you can apply this. This is like your internal world, your feelings and your emotions, and what you want to accomplish. Like a lot of times, sometimes they can just be in opposition. Nope. You may want to be doing something, but you feel like something's fighting you inside. Or it can be very easy and harmonious. You decide you want to do something, your feelings and emotions are on board. Or it can be somewhere in the middle. Again, knowing this will take out that whole I'm not doing something right. I need to try harder. My emotions are in the way. Like, I'm not on the right path. All of these stories we tell ourselves when what we are wanting to accomplish or do or have or be, something in our internal world is like, I'm not so sure. So knowing that synastry can give you clues on, oh, okay, they need to find a balance, or it's going to be more difficult. So I'm really going to have to nurture my internal world when I do these new things. And there's much more, but that I find is an important one because sometimes you feel literally like you're fighting yourself. You're like, it's not the outside world, it's me, you know, like I want to do this, but my emotions are like, I don't think so, or vice versa. So that's a really important one that I think can be a little understated. Okay, number 4, the house of your moon sign. So everything I just talked about with your moon sign, it really comes down to this secure attachment within yourself, nurturing and safety and love and being there and caring for you in your internal world. Now, you could be like, yeah, that sounds great, but how do I do it? The how you do it really shows up in the house. So the house of your moon sign will give you a fast track to knowing what you need to do to nurture yourself. Like, is it a daily routine? Is it finding, like, having experiences that bolster these beliefs? Is it like feeling safe in your body and going out in nature? Is it meditating? There's 12 houses in the zodiac wheel, and each one stands for a different area of life. So whatever one your moon sign is in is really a key to the how. We always want to know the how. The house sign, really the house sign for any part of any planet you're kind of curious about, or any part of your life, will show you the how. So check that out. What house is your moon sign in? And the very last one, number 5, is your chart ruler. So your chart ruler is the ruling planetary body of your ascendant. Your ascendant is also known as your rising sign. And your rising sign is the sign that was on the easternmost horizon at the moment of your birth. It's one of the most personal to you in your natal chart, because it changes every 2.5 hours or so. And it really, what it does, it's like you have a pair of glasses that whatever rising sign, the energy of every planet goes down through your rising sign, or really any sign. So say you are a Cancer rising, your planetary ruler is the moon. You have moon colored glasses over every area of your life, meaning sensitive, in tune with energetics, in tune with emotions, in tune with water, in tune with nature, in tune with nurturing yourself. All of these Cancer type energies really come from the moon, like this tribal love from mother to child, matriarchal, like lineage, ancestry, all of that stuff. That's how you are going to see the world. And that's how the world sees you. It's like whatever your chart ruler is, the planet, you just have glasses on and you're like, okay, this is how I see the world, through this loving, caring, empathic, sensitive nature. That's a Cancer rising. You have to be careful of overextending your energy, because you just want to nurture and you want to love, but I could go into a lot. But that's very different. Say if you had a Leo rising, then you see the whole world through big, bright colors and creative, like what can I do and who can I be, and really creating this really big, bold version of yourself. And say you have one that's really different. Virgo rising. You are going to see things much more linear, logical. You are going to want to understand. You are going to want to put things in a box. You are going to be very detail oriented and very perceptive. And you are going to really have a knack for healing. You are really going to be able to know what is going on under the surface, and you are going to want to be of service to help. So all of those things are very different. And again, that's how you see every area of your life and how your life sees you. Now, the rising sign, there's a lot of back and forth about it, but some people say it's a mask you wear. Some people say it's really affiliated with your childhood and your mother. And some people say it's what you're growing into be. But how I think of it as it's your energetic frequency. It's your footprint you leave on the world around you. It's not all of you, definitely not. There's much, much more nuance and all kinds of things in your birth chart, in you, but this is how people see you. And this is generally how you see the world. Again, Scorpio rising, that is a much more guarded, secretive, always penetrating, seeing the unseen. And if you are a Scorpio rising, people might be afraid of you. They might be like, well, that person's intense, and knowing that, even if you're not, that might be what you put off, but you could be really warm and fuzzy on the inside, and you can be like, why don't people come up to me? Why are people intimidated by me? What's going on? That could be a reason. So those are the 5 things. Now, this is the basic version. I'm going to expand more, but check it out. Check out your chart. If you need a chart resource, I have one in my free resources on my Instagram, where you can go and get your chart and how you can begin to read it. It's a lot of weird symbols and lines, and it looks like a different language. So that's called the Itty Bitty Birth Chart Guide, and it is free in my free resources, and it's also in my YouTube. So if you're just like, I don't even know where to go and get this, check that out. It will help. All right. Thanks, guys.